Hi everyone. As promised, I want to bring you the video on skill migration program for this financial year from Queensland. So, as I mentioned yesterday on the video, Queensland has four pathways this time for the skill migration program, and there are different requirements which have been mentioned on their website. So, if we first look at the first pathway, which is the skilled workers living in Queensland. So if we look at that, you can see that the government is planning to prioritize skill gaps, and we will discuss in our next video on what the priority occupations or the industry sectors are. But for the time being, let's look at the requirements for the 190 and the 491 visas. So for the 190 visa, points wise, you need to have 65 points or higher. 65 is usually the benchmark, but usually if you have more points, the chances are better for you and the chances of getting an invitation are sooner. So 190 visa, 65 or higher, 491, 65 or higher. You have to have an occupation on the Home Affairs listed skill occupation list, which is depicted by the legislative instrument 19/051. We can discuss that later, but you need to have an occupation on it. And also, the state government's focus is on Queensland's growing industries. We'll discuss what the growing industries are or the priority sectors, but the focus will be on that. Doesn't mean that other occupations won't get invited, but priority occupations will be obviously prioritized. English, you have to have proficient English or higher for both 190 and 491 visas, which means that in IELTS terms, you need to have 7 in each band or higher to be eligible for the visas. Now, usually for skill migration, if you have competent English, which is 6 in each band or higher, you become eligible to apply for skill migration. In usually that's the case usually, but specifically for Queensland, they are requesting or they want you to have proficient English or higher, which means that English is something that they look at closely. And if you have very good English, if you have superior English, you will be looked at favorably. Work experience, you need to be living and working in Queensland for at least 6 months. This work experience must have been completed after your qualification, which is post qualified work experience, closely related to your nominated occupation or in your nominated occupation, and at least 30 hours per week. When you submit your EOI for Queensland nomination, you must still be employed in a role that meets the above requirements. So at the time of applying for your EOI, you need to meet these requirements. 190 visa. If you look at the 491 visa, have been living and working in regional Queensland for at least the last 3 months. Work experience have to be post qualified, close related to nominated occupation, 30 hours or more. And at the time of lodging the EOI, you need to meet the requirements. Evidence of ongoing employment, which means that have evidence that your employment is ongoing for the further 12 months. This is counted from the date you submit the EOI. So you'll probably have to provide your employment contracts showing that you are being employed for the next 12 months. 491, it's evidence of employment for the further 6 months after UI. Commitment to living in Queensland, it is pretty similar to most of the states. Like once you're granted the 190 visa, you're expected to remain in Queensland for 2 years, and 491 visa, regional Queensland for 3 years. Let's quickly look at the other pathways as well. It's the Queensland graduates. The other pathway is Queensland's graduates. Requirements of that are for the 190 visa, 65 or higher, 491, 65 or higher. Qualification, you need to have a bachelor's degree or higher qualification from a Queensland university. This qualification must be in a priority field. We'll discuss the priority fields later. Have completed 100% of this qualification in Queensland. have graduated after the 1st of July 2022. 491, it's the same thing. Same requirements when it comes to the qualification. Occupation, you must have an occupation on the legislative instrument. English, again, have at least proficient English. Work experience requirement, living in working in Queensland for the last 6 months. Again, post qualified work experience. And occupation can be on any skill level 1 occupation. So it doesn't specify that it has to be on your nominated occupation or close related. Any skill level 1 occupation, at least 30 hours a week. Regional Queensland, at least last 3 months, been working. Any skill level 1 occupation, obtained post qualified, at least 30 hours. Evidence of 12 months, ongoing for the next 12 months, ongoing for further 6 months. Commitment is pretty similar. I will discuss the small business owners part on a separate video. Uh, let's look at the last pathway, which is skilled workers outside Australia or offshore applicants. For offshore applicants, 190 visa, 65 or higher, 65 or higher, have an occupation on the offshore Queensland skill occupation list. There's a different skill occupation for list for offshore Queensland. I'll discuss that in another video. Proficient English or higher, work experience, have at least 5 years of skilled employment experience in your nominated occupation or close relatives. You need to have at least 5 years of work experience in your nominated occupation. Now, if you look at the points table for 190 and 491 visas, generally, you will be awarded points for your work experience. But it's not one work experience level or one requirement for all the states in Australia. Each state has different requirements, and every financial year, the requirements usually differ or change a little bit. So you need to be on top of these requirements, and definitely when you apply for skilled visas, you need to consult a professional registered migration agent or a migration lawyer before you look at the requirements and see if you're eligible, because you might think that looking at previous years you are not eligible, but actually when you look at the this financial years you probably would be eligible. So it's very important to look at your profile or get your profile assessed by a professional. Only work experience declared and your nominated occupation on your EUI will be considered. Same for the 491, at least 5 years. Commitment wise, it's pretty similar. Yes, so there's priority processing for energy workers as well. Queensland Energy and Job Plans. It is one of the occupations on the priority sector. Like I said, I'll do a different video on this one. Don't want to get you guys confused on it. So these are the four pathways available for Queensland. Skilled workers living in Queensland, Queensland graduates, small business owners pathway, and offshore applicants, skilled workers outside Australia. So I'll bring the video on the priority sectors, and I'll see you on the next video.